My favorite part of the show is here. That's right. It's Ask Junior, brought to you by our friends at Xfinity, podcast partner and premier partner of NASCAR. Let's hear what you guys have sent at Xfinity Racing.
First question coming from Graham Wilson. He says, "Hey guys, love the podcast. I listen while I'm driving my truck here in the Pilbara area of Western Australia.
Dang.
I bought myself an RV over in the U.S., and once COVID is over and I can get out, what would be the best NASCAR race to watch and camp at?"
Watching and camping. I'm Bristol night race. The camping in the Bristol area is a lot of fun. Rolling hills, great campgrounds outside that racetrack. Going to be a lot of people excited to be there, so the atmosphere will be great. And you can get around and walk around the campground and sort of see a different vibe as you walk around the circumference of the racetrack outside. And there'll be stages with, I'm assuming that if we all get back to where we want to be, there'll be a lot going on outside the racetrack that you'll enjoy. And the race, I mean, it's a stadium-like atmosphere. It's unlike any other racetrack. There's not another track that I can compare it to. It's kind of like a college football stadium style seating, and for your first race, I mean, I think that Bristol night race is going to be the one that be the most action packed. Mike, you got an opinion on that?
I mean, hard to argue with that one. As long as we can draw the distinction between camping is not on the infield, like don't camp on the infield anywhere, because if you're trying to watch the race too, he said both of them, camp on the on the outside of the track, get in the grandstands, watch the race. Yep. Bristol, there's probably not one better.
Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen.
Big, good camping.
Yeah, just can't see much of the race. That's
true.
Yeah.
All right, next question coming from Nicholas Goldie. He wants to know, what was your favorite throwback scheme that you've ran? He says, I have a few that I like, but my favorite was the Gray Ghost. Love your show and podcast.
The Gray Ghost was definitely my favorite paint scheme, or one of my favorite paint schemes of all time. I can't even. I have to think about my throwbacks and which ones we all did.
Valvoline
one was cool. I guess, to be honest with you, all of mine, in my opinion, were like B to B plus. I don't think I ever really had a home run.
The Xfinity
throwback.
one? Last year? 2 years ago? Last year? What?
I can't hear you.
The Blue 8?
Last year's Darlington Xfinity race. Yeah.
That counts.
Degree number 8.
They all count. They all are throwbacks. But I'm just saying, all of mine, I never really, they were good. But, there's only just a few great, really awesome throwbacks in my mind. There's not many out there like that really nail it. Like this car right here is in the A bracket. But a lot of the paint schemes that I did, I was happy with them, but I didn't have one that I was like, holy moly, when I saw it, right? I mean, the Gray Ghost was pretty close. But back then, they wouldn't let us do the reflective numbers, and it was just, there was a couple pieces that were just not quite exact, and that's important to me when you nail it.
All right, next question coming from Bernard Newton. Junior, what are your thoughts on Kyle Larson's recent success on the dirt? He's winning all major forms of dirt racing against the best dirt racing competition. Do you think he's headed back to NASCAR?
I don't know. He says he wants to come back to NASCAR, and but I don't know why you would want to if you're doing all these things. When he was in NASCAR, he would say, man, I want to be in dirt. I want to race dirt for a living, and here he is doing exactly what he wanted to. And so why would he leave? Why would he? He's basically, look at all the different types of cars that he's raced. He finally got a super late model dirt car win.
First time trying it. Second.
Yeah, I think it was his
second. Okay.
That's what I read.
Okay.
Yeah, he won his second one out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that. I don't know. I guess he feels like he's got some unfinished business, and maybe his tune's changed a little bit about racing in the Cup Series full time. We tried to get him on the show to come out here and talk to us, and we'll see if we can get him. But to answer those questions, but honestly, like when he was in Cup, it was almost like he was. And I sort of understand that a little bit because when I was racing in the Cup Series, I would tell the late model guys like Josh Berry and my drivers, I'm like, look, you're having as much fun as you're ever going to have in racing right now, racing late models. Now, you want to get to the Cup Series, you'd love to have an Xfinity ride and all those things, but the higher you go, the more work it is, the more there is to do, and there's more going on outside of the literal driving part where the fun gets kind of peeled away. Some of those layers get peeled away. Racing is always fun, no matter what level you're at. But man, when you get to go to a short track with your friends and jump in a car and just go out there and race, and you're never gonna have as much fun as you do in those moments. So I don't know. While he might come to the Xfinity, while he might come back to Cup. And he might, he's certainly going to have opportunities, I believe, to get back there one day. I don't know that he'll ever have more fun than what he's doing right now in this moment, this year. So, and he can always go back, to dirt. So it'll be interesting. I'd like to know that because I remember when he was in Cup, he's like, man, I just love racing dirt. I want to race dirt. I hope to be a World Outlaw champion and racing full-time in the World Outlaws one day. And here he is doing just that very thing. So it's interesting to I didn't think he'd ever come back. I really didn't. I think he'd sort of landed in this perfect sort of world that he'd imagined in his mind. And so it's interesting to hear that he'd come back to Cup if he could.
All right, that's it for today.
Man, that was pretty fast. That seemed to go by really quickly.
It was.
Speed always wins.
It sure does. Speed's good.
Yeah. That's why Xfinity XFi keeps me connected. I honestly can't think of a better way to stay up to speed with NASCAR and Dirty Mo Media.
You heard it here, folks. Don't forget, Dale's here every week to answer your questions. So hit us up at Xfinity Racing on Twitter using the hashtag AskJunior for a chance to hear from Dale Jr. himself.
And one last thing, thanks to Xfinity for being a premier partner of NASCAR.